Today's video is a Google My Business overview to show you the process that I use if I'm starting a business from scratch and wanting to make sure that the setup's correct and that then it can be optimized going forward in the future so it gets inquiries. So who's this video ideal for? Well, it could be for someone who's already set up their business and wants to just make sure they've done everything they should have done, that they've not missed anything, not missed a trick. They followed the right process. So this will kind of give you confirmation to know that you've not done anything wrong if you follow this video through to the end. But it also could be for someone who just wants to know if there's perhaps a trick or something they may have missed, or how they can respond to what's happening to their Google My Business listing by means of insight, by means of understanding where their keywords are, and also by looking at some competitive analysis as well, which we'll do in this video today. But also this video could be for someone who just wants to make sure that they've done everything correctly because they've had no inquiries. Or maybe when they've looked on the internet, they see that their listing is doing quite poorly compared to their competitors. So maybe there'll be one or two things here that you've not done that will make the difference. And then you'll then see the inquiries come through. So we're going to look at 7 areas as to part of this Google My Business process. And by the end of this video, you should then be more confident you're ready to continue to grow your business online. So welcome to my video. So I'm Zane from Zanet Design, and I help businesses grow on the internet. So whether it's SEO, whether it's designing WordPress websites, whether it's optimizing a logo or an image, or whether it's just creating designs that show the right colors and use the right techniques. All those things are part of a web designer's process. But particularly when it comes to SEO, Google My Business has its own setup, its own process if you want to get inquiries and if you want it to grow and bring in local business. And generally that's what we're going to look at today, is how, even though with keyword research and other tools, how Google My Business could really be optimized to make your business grow online. So I'm going to look at 7 areas, and this will be like a checklist to make sure you've done all these things. And by the end of the video, you should be confident that your business will get inquiries through Google My Business over the coming months ahead. So let's jump straight in and see what these 7 areas are. First thing to do is identify that you have your business and you have it up and running already. So there's 3 ways to do this. The first way is to go to Google and just type in your business name. So there's a butcher's around the corners called Mark's Meats, and I'm going to see that yes, they have registered Mark's Meats around the corner, or it's certainly been found anyway, so that's good. Now if that was my business, then I can click own this business and make sure that then I can have business hours and website and so on and optimize this. So that's one way. The second way is if you go to Maps and you just again can type in Mark's Meats into Maps and again see if it comes up. So it does. So again, this is fine. And the third way, Google My Business. So if you go to google.com/business, just to put that in, and then you can log in, sign in, and then you can then immediately say I want to add a business, and then you can type in your business name and you can continue there. So as we see in the example using Mark's Meats does have an online presence already. So that's the first point to do. Register it, claim your business, and make sure that you then own it. And you'll need to clarify that you have ownership at that registered address if that's the case. Now, when you're going through and you're registering this, apart from the fact that obviously you've got your business name and you need to put your address and so on and clarify this, but I want you to think as a customer. So as you start to put in information, think about what your customer is going to be looking for, and then try and create your listing and add things like your category, and just think in terms of what your customer would look for to find you. Because when you're a business owner, sometimes you're blind to how your customers view you. So if you're not too sure, then the answer is to look at other competitors too and see what they're registered at, see what categories they choose, see what their listing looks like. So in this example, if I was to go to, let's say I'm a car mechanic. So if I go to Google and do a search for car mechanic, and I'm going to set up my new business, which is to do with car mechanics, what do I do as a category? Now, if you notice under car mechanic, the first category that comes up is this one here. If I click on that, you'll see it's car repair and maintenance. So it's car repair and maintenance is one of the categories. If I go to this one, now this one's just mechanic. If I go to this one, auto repair shop. So you notice there's several categories it could be. This one's mechanic, this one's auto repair shop. So what I need to think to myself is vehicle repair shop okay? Is auto repair shop okay? Or should it be a mechanic? Or should it be, what was the other one we saw at the beginning? We saw here a car repair and maintenance. That means there's at least 3 or 4 categories if I was a car mechanic. And I've got to think which one would be the most primary category that my customer would search for, and then make that my primary category. And then for the other categories, I could add those if they're correct, if they're actually relevant to what I do. But it's really important to just make sure you get the right category. And one of the best ways is just to see what your competitors are doing. There's no harm in understanding what's being dictated and accepted locally. So once you understand how others are doing things, you're more likely then to not make any mistakes. So hopefully that's useful when it comes to registering and claiming your business, thinking as a customer and making sure that then your competitors give you some clues as to what you should be doing. Now the second point is to understand its value. So when it comes to the process, I normally look at what it is that the category is about. I normally look at what the customer's business is about and then try and understand its value. Now, if it has great value, then there will be a lot of advertising as well. And you notice I've just done a search here on Google Maps for auto mechanic. It shows me best match locally. And then it then shows a couple of adverts. These are people willing to pay. So that means there is value in this being number 1. Now, Southbourne Motor Centre actually have got it number 1 by merits as opposed to these two paying for it. So they must be doing some things right. Now, if I go to their website, so you see they've really put some investment into a good website. It's well put together, very smart, and they're doing things right. So what I would immediately do is identify 1 or 2 businesses that are similar to mine, that are doing things well, and then from that just try and understand, well, what is it that they're doing so well, and how do customers view them? How can I learn from what they're doing? Then I'd go back to Google and I'd just again do another search for a car mechanic. And this time I'm just wanting to get an understanding of, how things work again. So here I've got some more local mechanics. They've come up again in the top 3. So they'll get a lot of inquiries. They've got good ratings as well. And I'm just learning again, what can I learn from these guys? What are they doing well? The reviews here obviously really outstanding for Queen's Park Garage. Now if I click on Queen's Park Garage, you notice that there's lots of ways in which you can contact the customers. Now here, if I click call, it will directly call them. Here's a link to their website. And you need to make sure you've got all these valuable things here, like call, website, make an appointment is another one you can have, or book an appointment, which they haven't got on here. But there you go. So on this one, request a quote. So that's another thing. We've got a video to show you how you can get that as well. So that's really easy to do. So they've got call, website, request a quote. So there's 3 things immediately. And then you look at the reviews. And if you come down as well, you just want to see whether you can get some social media. So I think let's just go to Queen's Park again. You notice there they've got questions and answers, which is good for keywords. They've got their popular times. This is great because they've got the team there as well, so you get really good photographs here. And I've even given it 5 stars because I get my card on there. It's excellent, and some good responses there. And they've also got their profile on Facebook. So you're looking to think about, how can customers communicate with my business? So update it so that you can get your profiles, which again I've got a video that shows you how to get them on social media. And make sure that you do have your call and your website connected, and make sure you get that request button, which they haven't got. Now when you put those things together, you're now thinking about how easy is it for a customer to feel confident that it's worth contacting me. Can I answer their questions, and are they questions that my customers are asking? How do my customers feel when they see the team and some good photos as well? And that's really the way to do this, is to view it as a customer would view it. Now the third thing is really to locate your keywords, because when it comes to writing and answering questions and answers, you want to include your keywords. When it comes to answering some of your reviews, as you reply to them, you want to use keywords. So thank you, Josh, we really appreciate you taking this time to write a review, there's nothing there to do with cars and mechanics. So that's a missed trick. Whereas if you know you're talking about mechanics, cars, MOTs and so on, garages, then you might want to include them in there, because the more those keywords are used, then the more Google's going to understand that's what you do. So, you know, you're talking about garages and stuff. You notice how these things get picked up. This is in bold: MOT price, dealer prices, service, staff. Google's quite intelligent in knowing what people are looking for as a customer. On the previous step, you saw we're trying to write to appeal to customers. So when you then respond to these nice reviews, yeah, that's good. Use the service and MOT, use keywords, and that helps. And another area you want to use keywords is in the actual description as well. So not only you get the category, but then you want to make sure your description as well. So this is good because it uses the word garage and the title of the company, but it's also good to try and get more words in there as well. In fact, whatever comes up bold is a clue as to the types of words that customers are looking for. Google's aware of that, and so are you, based on that alone. And then look at others as well, see what others are doing and see how they're getting on, what they do as well. Now, one of the other things you may want to do is you may want to just check to see what keywords your competitors are using. There's no harm in understanding this because it's public information and it's there really for everyone to look at, so people can look at your website, you can look at their website. So if I just go to their website for a moment again, which we saw earlier, so it's a really good website. So what keywords then are this garage using to focus on getting customers to their business? Well, there's two ways to do that I prefer to use in my process. The first one is to go to Neil Patel's Uber Suggest, and you just literally go to, I'll put the URL below, but it's neilpatel.com/Uber Suggest. And this is a tool, it's a free tool that you can sign up for. You just put in the domain name, you put in the country, and then it tells you how many organic keywords. That means how many words that people are searching and finding on Google. So this has nothing to do with Google My Business now. This is just purely to do with organic searching on Google. 122 keywords. And the way you get keywords on Google is you need to be writing articles and posts or news or blogs. So this means that on a monthly basis, they're averaging about 81 monthly traffic coming through, and as a consistency we see that they gained a bit more in June. And then you're looking for backlinks, which will give it a bit more authority as well. But just generally speaking, what are these organic keywords? Well, if you come a bit further down, you'll then start to see some of their popular pages, and then here we see the keywords. So these keywords here, if you're a local garage too in the Southbourne area, then that will be a useful keyword. 210 people are searching for garage Southbourne, and they're number one, and they're roughly getting about 64. So by being number one, you get a good 1/3 chunk of the traffic. So they've done well there. So it'd be hard to knock them off, those ones, because they're called Southbourne Garage. They're going to be number one basically because that Southbourne is in the name of their domain. So they've chosen a good domain name there. Southbourne Garages, Southbourne Motor Centre. But you notice Motor Centre, now it's more of a generic term, a lot more traffic for it, and they're 19th there. So again, they just get a trickle, so on the second page. But these are keywords that you should be aiming for, because even if you're not number one, as they are on most of these, you could certainly get number two. So if you've got number two, you notice they still got 34. So that gives you a clue as to what number two produces. Number four, just 14. But certainly you need to try hard to get some of these search terms. So what's the purpose of these keywords? Well, you want to make a list of them, and the two words together is one keyword in effect. The longer the words are, the easier they are. So if there's 3 words, that's easier to rank for. And you're just interested to know what these keywords are, how they work, and how you can embed them into your listing. So if we were Queen's Park Garage, then when we write our replies, when we write our description, when we blog, whenever we do anything, we want to try and include those keywords as well. Now, a second way you can use keywords is if you go to Google, if you've got Chrome extension, and I'll again put a link to this down below. It's called Keyword Surfer, and the advantage of this is it provides you with information about how popular something is as a keyword. It gives you some suggestions, and it also gives you the volume of searches and also what people are prepared to pay if they were advertising for that keyword. So let's look at an example of that. And if I switch on then my Chrome extension and reload, and here it will now come up with some keywords. So there you go, garage nearest to me, 8%. Look at the volume though. Garage near me, 90,500. So these are keywords that have got a huge amount of traffic enabled with them. And also you'll notice that it'll give you a clue as to how much people are prepared to pay for if they had a Google AdWords campaign. So certain words will be worth more than others. So what about auto car mechanic? Would that get more or less? So if I do that. Now in England that gets nothing at all because it's more of an American term. But what about car MOT? And that now goes up to 296. So all this is doing is giving an idea of, are customers searching for these terms? The volume tells you yes they are or no they're not. And then the amount that people are prepared to pay tells you how much they're likely to convert when they then turn up on your website or turn up on your Google My Business listing. And of course, converting traffic, people that are prepared to pay, is always going to be more valuable than having thousands of people turning up just for information only. So there is kind of those elements to take into account as well. But this just gives you again some clues. There's a lot of volumes out there. Again, you want to make sure that if you find keywords that are really useful, then collect a list, put them together and start using them in your posts and straight or description on Google My Business. So that's keywords for you and how to locate them. Now moving on to number 4, an eye-catching offer or event needs to be put together at least once every 7 days if you can. So if I click on create post, so the COVID update, gradually that will fade out as hopefully COVID will fade out soon. But what we're looking for here is what's new, or you may want to add an event or even a product as well. What's new is a bit like a blog really. So if you click on that, then you want to upload a photo from locally, or if you go to albums, you'll see some photos that you've uploaded in the past, and you can then click on any of these and use them as a way of referencing as well. But once you've added the right video or photo, then you want to then write your post. And this is again where those keywords that we spoke of in the previous step, you need to make sure you pepper them naturally throughout this. So when you write it, just write it and then think maybe if there's a few extra keywords you could put in there as well. Why? Well, because Google now learns more about what you're talking about. It sees that these keywords are relevant to you, and so then when someone's looking for, say, a car mechanic or nearby mechanic or a MOT centre mechanic, then when it's seen those things recorded again and again and again in your posts, you become more relevant. Therefore, you go further and further up the top. And then if people see you near the top and they click on you and they go to you for directions, or they give you a call, or they visit your website, that signals to Google that you are even more relevant, so you'll go up again. And it's this kind of ongoing cycle that the more relevant you become, the more you'll get clicked. The more you get clicked, the more you'll go to the top of those top 3. And then once you're in the top 3, then you'll see some serious traffic and inquiries come through. So sadly, when it comes to writing this, you don't really get a chance to put a true title, but I still try if I can to put the first line as my title. On some things you can add more of a title. Certainly on products, it enables you to have like a product name. So it's important to try and get that so that captures people's attention as well. So try and think of a headline that will capture people's attention. To do that, I would suggest you go over to, again, I'll put a link to this below. It's called Fat Joe, and it's really good if you just want to get a few ideas as to how to put a new title either on your blog or when it comes down to putting it on a Google My Business post. So let me just think. So if I put car mechanic, there you go, let's put that. And some of these will be okay, some you won't be able to use at all. But the most hilarious complaints we've heard about as a car mechanic: how to explain car mechanic to a 5-year-old. Undeniable proof that you need car mechanic, that might be a good one. How to get more results out of your car mechanic. 12 companies leading the way. 10 principles of psychology. 12 do's and don'ts. 12 steps to finding the perfect car mechanic. Well, I mean, you might like that, and you just think, well, I can only think of 3 steps. So you put 3 steps to finding the perfect car mechanic. In fact, it's been said, interestingly, they've got mainly even numbers here, but I read somewhere that odd numbers seem to get a better click through. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I would go for 9 or 7 or 5 or 3 rather than the 12s and 10s. You may want to do some split testing to see which one works. But there you go, there's just a few examples there. You can go back and redo it again if you wanted to, but just gives you an idea as to how to get perhaps more of a headline that doesn't just say what it is, but also is more likely to get a click through. So that's an important part of writing a headline, particularly for a blog title. So we're talking about eye-catching offers. Make sure the images are obviously eye-catching as well. Don't forget you can geotag images, and that will help. I've got a video that shows you how to do that. Don't forget you can put your logo on images. That will help. I've got a video that shows you how to do that too on my Zanet Design YouTube channel. So make sure you have a look at that as well. And the reason why you put your logo on images where possible is because Google understands branding now, and it understands logos even. And also if you put text on images, Google reads that, and Google even knows what the best images are for your category or your business. So just again, if you're not sure, have a search, see what people are using as main images. So for a car mechanic, maybe it is a car on a ramp. It may be a car that's being serviced, maybe just an engine. Again, look to see what others are using, because Google does know what's relevant for a car mechanic. And the more relevant photos you have, again, the more rankings are likely to improve. So that's how you can improve when it comes to creating a post and optimizing for it. Now the fifth area is just to every so often check your insights. So if you click on insights, these are really useful. It just tells you which keywords have now gradually brought traffic in. Now of course most of the things that you should be being found under would be earwax removal, Bournemouth. Don't know why I've got that. There you go. So you can get all sorts of things for some reason, but less than 10, so at least it's not a major one. But things like Zanet Design, obviously you want that to be one of your highest ones, because that means people know about your branding, they're finding you. And of course, because I work with a lot of Google optimization and Google My Business, then I'm trying to be found in those, but obviously design is another one as well. And then try and get a balance here as well between branding, discovery and direct. So direct is people know about you and they're coming back. Branding is they're finding you because of your branding and your branding efforts and your social media. And then when it comes to discovery, they're finding you through search engines and so on. So those are ways to obviously make sure you continue to build on those things. And then again, you get traffic through searches and you get traffic through maps. So both those should be nicely balanced. This tells you who's called you, who's visited the website, who's asked for directions, and also there's a messaging app as well. So all these things just give you a bit of insight. You definitely want to make sure you're ahead on these. So this is your competitor's line in red, and this is then your line. And so you always want to be above that. And that would be one of the things I'd say is look at what competitors are doing and just make sure that you're always above what they're doing. So some businesses are more competitive than others. So some businesses you'll have to work a lot harder than others, but you always want to be ahead of businesses like you. So that's what you're looking for. So just keep reviewing that every so often on insights, and then make adjustments as and when you need to make adjustments, and then look and see if your keywords are beginning to bring traffic through, those ones that you've used to be optimized as well. So here's a question. How can you improve your business rank? Well, that's what number 6 is, improving your business rank. So what do we mean by improving your business rank? Well, what we're talking about is if I did a search for whatever your business is, are you coming up number 1, number 2 or number 3? That's really where you want to be. The ads you can't do anything about, they'll be here today, gone tomorrow once their budgets run out. But that's the top 3. And that's what you're after. So can you improve your business rank? Now, depending on where you actually are, so if you are, say, down here somewhere, you need to really just see, well, what are they doing better than me? Do a bit of reverse engineering. And bear in mind that location is one of the key things anyway. So if you're 40, 50 miles away, it's unlikely you're going to be found close to the searcher. So where the searcher is searching from does make quite a difference. One of the biggest things that people keep thinking is they keep thinking it's to do with whether you've got a 5-star or not. And it's very, very small part of the algorithm when it comes to Google ranking you as number 1, 2 or 3. So how can you do it? Well, let's just go back to here. There's a few things you can do to improve your business rank. First of all, regularly post. So once a week minimum, add a post, and that will immediately make a big difference to your rankings. Once you've done that for a few months, you'll see a significant change in how Google views you. The next thing is also add images regularly and make sure they're relevant as well, not snaps of holidays and things, but make sure they're relevant. So if you're a car mechanic, then obviously make sure it's to do with being a car mechanic. So for an example, I add photos here. So I'm a web designer. So if you look at the photos, I've got web design work here. If we just go through a few of these photos, you'll notice that I've shown them on screens, on laptops as well. Well, that's relevant. If you do a search for web designers, you'll see that most of them are on tablets and on screens as well. So different types of designs here, but also having locations. So I'm a Bournemouth web designer, and these are locations that, again, Google can recognize that these things are seen in Bournemouth. And then having words as well, like Google My Business, Google can read that. Google recognizes desktops, laptops, designs and so on, logos and information as well. So it should really be as relevant as possible to what it is that you're doing. And Google likes that. So plenty of those on a regular basis. Make sure your logo is your logo. Make sure you cover, again, if you can, try and get your logo on that too. So there's just a few things there that will prove to be helpful when it comes to improving your ranking. But what else can you do as well? So another thing that's important is to make sure the information that you have is consistent on all of your companies. So just make sure that your times are consistent, make sure that your website's consistent, your services and so on. All those things, your telephone number, where you are, they should be consistent on all the things that you're doing, and your areas as well, your address. I think we've seen plenty of videos I've released in the past that mention NAP, name, address, phone number, trying to get as consistent as possible on your Facebook, on your Yelp, Yext, on your Yellow Pages, wherever you put your listing, you need to make sure it's consistent. So that would be important. And also getting reviews on others. So if you're, for example, a hotel, you want to get reviews on TripAdvisor. If you're a web designer, then reviews on Yale or on Facebook or Twitter can be important too. And one of the other things as well is just to answer questions when they come through, and reviews with keywords, which we saw earlier in this lesson. And then when you do all these things on a regular basis, consistently, adding photos, responding to insights, adding keywords, you will see your listing improving, because one of the reasons is that people aren't doing this. People are not consistently doing these things. So it's a no-brainer really that over time, if you keep doing the right things, or you employ someone to do the right things for you, then you will see your rankings go up. And these people will get quite a lot of inquiries. So don't underestimate the amount of times that they get phone calls and they get people inquiring for their services. Now, just one thing I wanted to come back to was just the importance of adding images. And I wanted to just show you that when it comes to adding images, this is a type of traffic that you can get. Now, we saw in Insights just briefly there that if you look at the traffic that it produces, so here is photos, and like there, for example, 930. So that's kind of 7,000. So this is a type of thing in the last month that you get traffic coming through, photos, probably more than anything else. So if you're deciding to do one thing, adding photos will bring in traffic. And also people add photos for you. So customers add photos. Like I went for a meal recently, so there's an email come through. So just over a year or so ago, I took a photo of a restaurant I went to, and it's had over nearly 3.5 million views on that photo. Now, what does that tell you? Well, that's 3.5 million individuals have seen the photo that I uploaded to a different business, not my business, but just a restaurant when I was in there. It's not even a good photo. It's quite dark as well. And you notice, if you look through, you'll notice that if you do ever add photos, like I go bowling, 85,000 people have viewed that photo. Football, 10,000. So don't underestimate how easy it is for people to find businesses when photos exist. So there's some examples there of photos that are getting some serious amount of traffic, and that's not even to my benefit, that's the benefit of the company. So you imagine that, then if you combine that with using the tool GeoImage R, which is the way to locate your images, that's one way to do it. You can add your geolocation, or if you take a photo on your phone, it's just worth bearing in mind, for geolocation to work, you need to first of all make sure your GPS is turned on your phone. And then the reason why most people then still don't get geotagged on images, on photos, is because you also need to go to the settings on your camera and then make sure that it embeds that information on the photo. So GPS needs to be on, and then you need to embed the GPS information or location, or even longitude, latitude it might call it, onto the photo itself. And so that's two things you need to enable if you want to geotag using a phone. If you don't geotag using a phone, then this will do it for you, this particular bit of tool software here. Now, as a little bonus, I'm into my Google My Business listing here, and just to notice here that again this is nicely changed. There's been a few updates. Do click on this, get started. If you do that, it then just tells you a few things you need to confirm. So just go through these things, confirm them, update your business. Why do that? Well, it just tells Google that you're still very much alive, that your business is still very much going, which is important because obviously with COVID, a lot of businesses have unfortunately disappeared. So it's really sad to hear that, but that is the case. So that's why this is up and running, really, just to make sure that you clarify with Google that you're very much still going with your business. So do that. It's a little bonus there. So there's loads more that you can do to give you an overview basis of how you can set up your Google My Business and follow the basic process. But that's kind of a good overview of what I do. Now, if you want some sneaky advantages though, then you need to head over to these videos where I'll show you some things that you may not have considered yet for your Google My Business. I'll meet you over there.